Podcast, even though this ain't the podcast. This is Talk About That. Today we have a awesome guest, two great guests. We have the talent manager and Kyle. What is your last name, Kyle?
Grasty.
Kyle Grasty, and then of course it's been in the works for some time. It's absolute pleasure is all ours, Riley and I's. The president of Her's, none other than Mr. Troy Gunden. Troy, thank you so much for doing this. We are live actually at the training center right now. As you guys can tell, we are not at our typical setup. But I do want to just say shout out to Penn Del Mar Power. They are the official home to talk about, even though we aren't there right now. And please go to revbjj.com and start your jiu-jitsu career. But yeah, let's get into the podcast. Like I said, can't even believe this is really happening. It is happening. We got all the chips here. For all the people who don't know what Her's is, even though if you don't know what Her's is, you're probably living under a rock. But for the people who don't know, if you could please talk about the story, how it all started, how your rise came up to the top. Just tell everybody, what Her's is and who you are, Troy.
Sounds good. Hey, so our company is 77 years old. Actually, we're in my grandparents' home. My grandfather, Jim Hirsch, started it when he was 21. One of my favorite stories is that to buy the business, it was $1,750 to buy the business. He needed to take a loan out. And at the time, back in 1946, you would take a loan out with a lawyer. And so he went to this lawyer, he got the loan, and the lawyer happened to be his girlfriend's boss. So his girlfriend was right there, and she's like, what is he doing with the lawyer? And sure enough, he was borrowing the money. So then obviously they got married, and then they started the business, and here we are 77 years later. So I'm third generation. My uncles, so my grandfather ran the business. My uncles have then run it as second generation. We're currently led by my uncle Ed Herr, who is our CEO. I serve as the president, and then I have three other cousins that I run the business with. And so we're all about keeping it in the family. We want to have the absolute best quality in the market, so that's our big thing. But we also really appreciate the value of our culture. And so if you say, like, hey, what's your actual job in the company? I'm sure we can sell potato chips, and we can, there's a lot of companies that make snacks, but the Her's culture is what's so important. And you guys got to see that when you came to our plant.
Yeah.
Hopefully you sense that people actually care. It's not just a job to them. It's more about a career.
Yeah, and I want to give some insight on that for people listening and watching. We took a tour of Her's before here. Riley actually works at Her's. His whole family works at Her's. Yeah. So Riley's obviously bouncing back and forth between Her's and Talk About.
We saw his mom.
We got to see his mom today in the lab. But, we did all that. And then, it was really awesome to be able to get a tour, to be able to see it again, just because we've done it before. Obviously, like I said, Riley's worked here and is working here currently. And I saw it before, but it was really cool to be able to see it again. And thanks to Kyle for showing us all that. Kyle's joining us as well. He'll be here a little bit longer than Mr. President Troy. But I do want to ask Kyle a question as well. Kyle, your family has been in this business, for who knows when. Actually, today, funny enough, you were just at a retirement party, which was for Kyle's dad, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, Kyle, if you want to talk about that a little bit, that would be awesome as well.
Yeah, I've had plenty of family work here over the years. My father, he was kind of the first of all of us to start working here. I think he started back in 75 or 76. So, it's been over 45 years, and he's retiring as of June 1st. He's been your cheese curl guy.
Yeah. So thank you to him for all the cheese curls that have been out there. Yep. For all the people who have those cheese curls. We got a bunch of different of the products. I know you guys see these things all over. This company is crazy and with all that. But obviously, I know, Troy, you wanted to talk a little bit about the family aspect to this business. Even though this is just Her's, there's a lot of families within the business. And I wanted to give you a chance to be able to talk about and focus on that. I know that's something that you wanted to do. So please, if you could talk about how all the families, being in this business has helped the business grow throughout all the years of making Her's what it is today.
Sure. Actually, I would just bust on my friends Riley and Kyle. So Riley, first of all, so his boss is a buddy of mine named Spence, and I'm going to call Spence right after. He's probably sleeping right now, but as soon as his shift starts, you're going to get the extra work duties tonight. And then Kyle is obviously his dad is retiring. He's 47 years with our company. He made every single cheese curl. If you saw me checking the bag, this was made on second shift. So Gary, he did not make that one, but it's just a great example where the Grassley side of the family has multiple people that have worked here. In fact, I know Kyle's mom. I was just at lunch with her. Then on the flip side, Kyle married a person that has the last name Sten, and there's like 6 people in the company, including both her parents that work for the company. So if you were to get a example of what not to do, you do not want to start dating your boss's dad. No, wait. Dating a girl that her dad is your boss. The mom writes your paycheck. All kinds of.
Is this the sticky situation you were in?
These are sticky.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
We navigated it with grace.
Yeah, did you?
So,
Well, it seems like it all worked out in the end, correct? You married the same girl.
He married up. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we've been married a little over a year now, and
So that's great.
Yeah, she works elsewhere in the company now with our fleet garage, keeping over 900 vehicles inspected, tagged, and keeping it all straight. So we try not to talk about work too much when we're at home, but that's where it always veers.
I know, for sure. Another question I wanted to ask you, Troy, if I could, is your journey to the top, because your journey to the top is obviously different because you have a different perspective of the business because, your grandfather is the person who started this whole thing. You have people who can rise up from different families, and that's all great and all, but, for your journey, it was funny when we were doing the tour, you were talking about, I was in there too, just so everybody understands, just because Troy's in the family, he didn't just get handed this spot that he's in right now. You had to work your way up. I was also told by Jonathan, my girlfriend's dad, that you did a lot of working your way up. And that's how the business is. You have to earn you're staying here. People have been here for such a long time. So I wanted to ask, how was your journey to the top? How was it different? And how does it feel to be in the position you're in now, as is obviously an extremely important position in this company?
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of questions, Jack. Come on, man.
I know. Well, hey,
so
got to put you on the spot.
It's a really simple equation. So the Herr family, we wanted to stay family-owned, and we would like to be family-run. So our second generation did a great job of building what we call the track program, or the third generation track, in my case. And so before coming into the company, any family member they have to know, if you come and you want to be in leadership in the business, you actually have to come with prerequisites. So you have to have your degree. You have to have outside management experience, which means you get promoted in an outside company. And then you come in and you start at our basic jobs. And so you work your way up, and there's no special treatment or anything like that. It's just come in and do that job. The whole idea with this track program is that you get the perspective of actually doing the work. So there's a lot of times that people come in and say, hey, I saw how it is. For example, Riley, I could come hang out with you for one night and I'd get an idea, or I could do that job for 2 years and then I would actually know about how that is. That's our model. And so every one of my cousins that's gone through that, they've all done all of the jobs, all the shifts. And the idea is that we have that perspective before we get an opportunity to run the company. And then so it's just an honor, man. To be able to represent our family is just a lot of fun. I'm actually just one of many in that group. So we have a really cool team. And my story is that I grew up in Georgia. So when I was growing up, there was no Herrs down in Georgia. Actually, there's still not that much Herrs down there. So I'd always come up here and enjoy hanging out with my cousins in the summertime. We'd eat a whole bunch of snacks. But it was never actually my plan to come to the company. I actually, after college, got into banking. But then my grandfather, on our wedding weekend, my wife and I were getting married in Colorado, and he was talking to us about legacy. And the idea is that I wanted to start my own business so that I could be working for something bigger, something that would have a long-term legacy. And he's like, hey, you don't have to start your own business to have a legacy. And so my wife and I started talking about how much we love this company and how we love the culture here and how important it is to keep that. So that's what we came. I was here 19 years ago. And she worked in our company for the first 17 years, and she actually just recently retired. She works at our church now. So anyway, working in the family business is just part of our family. And we were just talking about how many other families are in that same situation there.
Right.
But generally speaking, our goal is that we want to be intentional about the transitions. And so my cousins and I are actually working on the 4th generation planning. And how do we make sure, because we don't have a picture up, but there's a huge number of people in our family right now. It's 88.
Wow.
And a whole bunch of them are 4th generation. And so we want to set them up for success. And we actually have a first couple of 4th generations working in our company right now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, where are you at with the generations? You have a couple 4th generations in the company now?
Yeah.
And you've been president for
2.5, something like that.
How has
it was terrible. It was right when COVID hit. It's like, what a mess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How many or how long did it take for you to get comfortable in the position? Did you being around the business, being around the family, were you always comfortable, or being the president of a company that is obviously super big, super, to heart with you? Because that's why I get so interested with the whole perspective thing, because your perspective is so different, because you were always a part of the family. So you being in that role, is it difficult? Do you feel like it's, hard shoes to fill?
It's a good question. So I'm going to quote my uncle. We don't talk about filling shoes in our family. So my grandfather had really big shoes to fill, and my uncle uses the phrase that he just keeps a good shine on them. So that'd be my job too. It is interesting you ask about being president, and I can honestly tell you, it's an honor to have that job. But we have such a big group of people that I work with every day. So it's not actually any different than what it's been kind of all through, other than now it's just kind of a title change.
Yeah.
But yeah, the role in our company is that you're just one member of the family. And we have lots of members in our leadership team that are not her family members that are part of the Her Foods family that are just as important. So it's kind of an easy question to answer, because it's really no different than it was before I had the title.
Gotcha.
When did chipper come a thing? Was it in the beginning? Right in the beginning?
So
I love how
that story?
I ask all these crazy
I know a little
Riley
bit.
goes, where's Chipper?
Yeah, seriously.
Riley told me.
I played Chipper before. He was fun.
Well, Riley told me that he had beef with Chipper. This is what you said.
It's probably with me in there. I was the rowdy Chipper.
When did Chipper when was Chipper made? That is a good question.
So, to my understanding, Chipper came about, I believe it was the late 70s, early 80s. He became our official mascot for the company, and he was just a lovable, fluffy chipmunk.
Yeah.
If you catch the pun, his name is Chip Herr.
That's the deal. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes a little bit more sense.
That makes sense.
And Chipper has just been our fuzzy, fun little friend that helped us out at the visitor center with tours, and as well as local community events, baseball games, and things of that nature. So it's just a fun face for us.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
cool.
Keeps eating all our chips, though, in the background.
I know. I'm sure he is.
Well,
That's why I think that's where the
not
beef
good.
started, because
Yeah,
Riley
no.
was eating
No.
a bag of
Taking all
chips.
my chips.
Here comes Mr. Chipper.
Well, he's my cousin, so his name's Mikey, and he's probably the one doing it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Is it the same guy every time? Always?
No.
Okay.
We have a bunch of chippers and a bunch
Bunch of
C's and
chippers.
stuff
Bunch
like
of
that.
chippers. You don't know who's
Don't
who.
tell anybody, y'all.
Yeah, don't tell anybody, right?
not
It's
a
only,
secret.
it's only on video, on
it's
camera,
all
the
on
whole
internet. It's all fine.
the whole 9 yards.
Bleeped
But
out.
something I want to ask you is, because, you've been in the company for so long, Kyle, but why hers? Why are you staying at hers? It's one thing, we could ask your dad, but he's gone now. So I think he doesn't want to maybe have any more hers duties. For you, you didn't retire yet. Why are you staying here? What's making you stay put at hers?
I guess a good way to put it is I pretty much grew up with hers and at hers, and even sometimes in hers. I was telling you guys a story earlier. Growing up, my dad worked first shift, my mom worked second shift, and they would hand me off when I get out of school. We go and get her dinner and bring it back, and I just grew up around all of the employees here and what they did. So naturally, when I needed summer work when I was in college, I started working at hers as a tour guide. And it just kind of flourished from there. Now, why I stay at hers is because it really just comes down to that family aspect of it, where we all know each other, we all trust each other, and even especially in leadership and management, obviously every manager, supervisor here all have good work ethic, strong accountability, but we also care about each other genuinely. I know it's a cliche these days for companies to say like, oh, we're one big family here. That's actually how it is here.
Yeah.
It's not just a facade. We genuinely care
really
about
care.
each other, and we all work towards a common goal. So that would be the main
That's
thing.
pretty interesting.
That's a heck of a question. You realize
That
he
was
asked
good.
you in front of me why you stay at hers. Like you just setting him up. So.
Well, I just want to see, the main man's here, so you got to ask the real questions.
Well, and also, with our executive team and all, I'm sure there's a lot of companies out there where they'll never meet any executives or leadership members. I hang out with Troy all the time.
Something that's so cool is like the team thing. And that's another thing I wanted to ask you real quick is with the whole team aspect of it. For Riley and I, we're still very new with Talk About, but it's been, we are both so happy with the success that has been brought from it so far, with all the partnerships we're dealing with, the people we've had on. And I feel like having a strong team is super, super important. And it very much seems like hers has that strong team. Currently, the team's going to get broader. I'm hoping sooner rather than later. But right now it's Riley and I. It's just us two. Originally it was just your grandfather, your grandmother in a house, right? What is so important about having such a big team around you?
The most important thing is trust, right? Like we can, and there's a book out there, it's called The Speed of Trust, and there we can talk all day long about what happens if you don't have trust. But with our system, so everyone on our leadership team, like most of us started running route trucks, so we all know how the business works. We've actually brought a few people in from the outside that actually have done that stuff in their past. So when our leadership team is working together, we've actually already done that work, and we know like what are the basics of those jobs, and then it trickles all the way down through our management team. And it's just one of those things that if you put one word out there, it'd be trust, because it speeds up that process, and you don't have that in every other company because people are jockeying for position, or they'll try to get up the corporate ladder, and we still have that obviously here too. That's what makes the team work out really well.
And like with everything that has happened, is it kind of surreal to see, like when you look back and go, man, my grandfather started this whole entire thing. We walk outside this, there is nothing but hers facilities here. That's why I think it's interesting. Like, is it surreal to look as from your perspective, and then even from your perspective, because I'm looking at it from getting all these tours. We're walking in here getting the tours. I'm sitting and I have the honor to be able to speak with the president of the whole entire company. It's also great to be able to walk around and see the tours with you as well, Kyle. And that's why I want to ask, to both of you, to you, Kyle, first, what is it that's so important and so cool about seeing all these facilities around here, and what has been created from such a small, structure, and for you as well, because that's your grandfather we're talking about, so that's why I find it interesting.
Yeah. From my perspective, by the time I came about, hers was already pretty well established in the community and in Nottingham here. So to me, it's primarily been like the community employer. They provide opportunities for everyone in our area. So it's, thinking of it in a historical perspective, it just always reminds me that the American dream that we all still hold dear is very true, alive, and well.
Yeah.
So you just have to work hard and be true to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Troy?
You mentioned surreal, I hate, and again, this is the internet, so don't tell anybody, but honestly, kind of when I'm on this campus, when we were walking over here, I was looking at the weeds and thinking, hey, we need to clean up this little section of weeds. Where you just don't think about you're just working.
Yeah.
So it's actually cool that you mentioned that with your fresh set of eyes walking through our campus. Because we can actually be really proud. This community,
it's crazy,
is all about
It's funny that you say that. That's what you were looking at. I'll tell you what I was looking at. We saw all the chips. We saw the pretzels when you were walking through. Actually, a question for Riley, even though this is kind of weird. What did you notice when you were walking through? Because you work here, you know what I mean? So you see this all the time. But when you were doing the tour, was there something that you saw that you're like, this is actually kind of neat, put you on the spot a little bit?
It's really cool, all the chips and the pretzels with the dough, and it was getting mixed together, chopped up and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, and actually how it works, comes down the conveyor belt and everything. Yeah. But something that I thought was interesting, and the reason why when you said the whole weeds thing, what I was actually paying attention to was when you were turning on the TVs, like the video is already ready. It wasn't like you were standing there for 30 minutes trying to get it. Like it was literally, you press it and here we go. Here's how this works. That shows, how much so hers has everything, pretty much dialed down to a T. And I feel like somebody had to set that up, right? Yeah. So somebody had to do that, and that's where the whole team thing gets decided. You did that?
Yeah.
You're the okay.
Yep, that's part of my job.
How long have you been in the talent position?
Probably about 5 years now, 5 or 6 years.
And you're the guy who does all the tours and everything for the company and everything?
I kind of oversee the tour program as a whole. Now we have the visitor center manager, who I report to, who oversees everything with the visitor center and all. But my focus is the tour program and the tour guides and the experience that everybody has, and just providing excellent customer service and furthering our reach to the community.
Do you know how many seasoned chips they are, in the whole of hers?
How many SKUs do we have?
Yeah.
Too many. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's about 300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
total
new chip
is about 800 with different seasonings and different stuff. Yep.
Holy. And the new season chips, the henna lime.
Yeah.
Those things are really
You're
good.
snacking on those.
They're really good.
Yep.
Can I ask, what's your favorite chip? The president. We want to hear it from the man himself, Mr. Troy Gunden's favorite chip.
So, guys, I have a little bit of a problem. So anything that I absolutely love doesn't sell well. So some of my stuff, you'll remember, has been now discontinued.
Really? Is that what they did?
So my new favorite is to mix red hot potato chips and our salt and vinegar potato chips and mix them together.
Man, everybody's liking those.
So we had a flavor mix though that we did, and actually we were bringing it back, but all the different flavor pairings, and those were not picked. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm fine with that because it was kiss of death there. But no, anyway, so I love to mix the chips. Jalapeno kettle are also one of my favorites. And then I like anything off the line. So I'll tell you guys that one of my favorite things to do is walk through the plant about 10 o'clock in the morning. And the people that know me know what I'm up to. Some people are like, are you auditing us? Or are you doing a QA check or something? Like, no, y'all, I'm hungry. It's 10 a.m., man. I'm coming, so I'll get some tortilla chips. I get some cheese curls to go visit Gary. So it's just a lot of fun to snack on the fresh product. And also, obviously, we're looking for the quality and making sure that it's great product.
For sure. Yeah. I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have other places to be. I do want to ask you one final question before we wrap up at least your section. I don't know if Kyle's sticking around. If he is sticking around, if anybody else is coming in the podcast, not sure. But I do want to say one final thing. What is your advice to people who want to start their own business? It could be any type of business. It doesn't have to just be within the food industry. But what would be your advice for somebody who wants to succeed, wants to go to the top? What do you think your grandfather would also say about that as well?
Yeah.
If we were able to ask him. That's another.
And actually, Kyle, before we leave, let's give them both a copy of my grandfather's book over there.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
There's all of his philosophies are in there. It's really cool. So, no, guys, I think there's a guy named Mike Rowe. I think you guys might know that name. Talks about working hard, be the first person to be at work that day, be the last person to leave, be the person that does any of the jobs, volunteer for the jobs that nobody wants to do. That's how you earn respect in an organization, and you'll move up with that. And then the other one, if you want to start your own business, is to start something that you actually love, like something that you're passionate about. And then obviously there's this old cliche of you never work a day in your life, but it really is true. Like if you love what you do, it's a lot better as a job than if you're doing something just for a paycheck. So
yes, sir.
That'd be my advice is find what you love and do that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
I'm going to bust on you, man. You got to get Spence on.
Yeah, let's get Spence. Well, that's Riley's here. Riley's got to get the man Spence. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of hers, Mr. Troy Gunden, thank you so much for doing this podcast. Yes, sir. Have a good one. Kyle, before we wrap everything up, because I know I don't want to hold you too long, but just because you're here, I actually didn't even know you were going to be a part of the podcast. Yeah. But now that you are, and because when we were setting everything up, it was actually weird because I was like, Crystal goes, and Kyle's going to be joining. I go, oh, crap, we don't have another mic. So I got another mic. I'm so happy you joined because doing the tour, it's cool to hear your perspective. You know, obviously, Troy, you know, has a lot of great things to say about the business, where he's at in the position, but you work, you know, in the business, and you're in a cool spot with the whole family history. You know, couple last things that I want to ask you. Maybe Riley can ask you a couple last questions, but I just wanted to ask you, you know, do you want to continue to move up, or do you like the position you're in right now?
I'm pretty content where I'm at this time. I mean, you know, of course, always as you get older and wiser, how it works in hers is you, like, of course, there are levels. You know, you have supervisors, managers, directors, and all of that. But like I said before, we all share a common goal, and we put our best efforts in every day. So it's really, you just enjoy the work that you're doing. And if a step up the ladder happens, then that's great.
Yeah.
So you just you don't expect it. You don't work towards that.
Yes, sir.
You just do your best every day, and if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all talking about this earlier before we took the tour, how you kind of remembered when you were a kid you took the tour. I did the same thing in elementary school, and we've all been there. So that's why with all the tour staff now, we want to make sure we carry on that memory with all the kids.
Right.
And that when they grow up and have their own kids, they come back to do the tour and they remember that they took it, and they want their kids to have that same experience.
I think that's a fantastic way to close the program right there. Thank you so much, Kyle. I just want to say thank you so much to Crystal for making this all happen. Without her, this wouldn't have happened. And I want to thank Kyle. Thank you so much. He's been really like the main man the whole day. They didn't even tell me that Kyle is going to be the main man, and he is. He's setting up the tours. He's getting us where we need to be. So without Kyle, thank you so much for everything you've done.
My pleasure.
You can, shake over the table. Thank you, guys. And we'll be sure to read this book, Riley. Life with Flavor. If you guys don't know, Mr. Jim Herr, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who started this whole entire deal. Without him, there is no Hers, and we're very thankful, very grateful to be able to get this podcast done. I'm sure it won't be the last time we do something with Hers, so let's keep that in the future. But thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you, Riley, as always. And thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a good day, and peace.